All right then, so calling this meeting to order at 4:39 p.m. I apologize for being just a few minutes late. We had some new links we had to figure out. So good afternoon. This meeting of the Napa Valley College Board of Trustees is now called to order at 4:39 p.m. We welcome members of the public. Instructions on making public comment are posted in item 1 on the agenda, and we will ask at each item if there is public comment. Catherine, could you please do roll call?
Absolutely. Student trustee Soto Gonzalez.
Here.
Trustee Rios.
Here.
Okay. Trustee DeLuna.
Present.
Trustee Baldini.
Here.
Trustee Iverson.
Here.
Trustee Goff.
Here.
Trustee Dodd.
Here.
And Trustee Baker.
Here, thank you. So we have Pledge of Allegiance. Trustee DeLuna, could you please lead us in the pledge?
Yes. And I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America
And
to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under
Under God, indivisible,
with liberty
and justice for all. Thank you. All right then. Our next order of business is to adopt the agenda. I don't know that we have any changes or anything. If we do not, we can adopt by consensus. All right, hearing none. We are now ready to go into closed session. So this is our closed session of our regular meeting. At this time, the board will devote a total of up to 15 minutes to hear comments regarding closed session agenda items. Individual comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Do we have any public comment on our closed session items?
I have seen no public comment.
All right then. So at this time, we'll close public comment and move into closed session. We'll be returning at 5:30 p.m. The items that we will be discussing in closed session include conference with real property negotiators, conference with labor negotiators, and public employment. So we will see everyone very, very soon. I will see the board momentarily back on a different link.
Jennifer,
Yes.
are we using one of the links that we have for closed session or no?
Yes, I sent you.
Yes, there should be, it should be in, I believe it's the same one we used as before, is it not?
Yeah, it should
Okay.
be.
Okay,
It's the same one we were just using before.
perfect.
Okay,
Thank you.
way too many tabs
Okay.
open right now. Okay,
So sorry. I'm
no worries.
I'm here if you need me.
thank you. See you all soon. So,
Here you are, announcements from closed session.
no announcements from closed session. So we are coming back to our public meeting. We're 5:42 p.m. and I apologize for the slight lateness. We got started late and then it was just never catch up. So we are now ready then for our presentation on redistricting, and Mr. John Tudor is with us this evening. Sir, you have the floor.
Good evening, board members. It's a pleasure to be here. As you know, this is my third time redistricting for the college board. The first time was in 2000 and then again in 2010, and this is the third time in 2020 for the 2022 election season. As you know, the governing board of the college must adjust their boundaries every 10 years following the census data, which we received late this year for a number of reasons I won't go into, but we didn't receive the census data until the 12th of September because some adjustments had to be made. I learned just recently that this board does not have to use certain adjusted data that the statewide Citizens Redistricting Commission is using, which includes the reallocation of some 90,000 prisoners in state prisons out to their home domiciles. It's not a large number, I hope, for Napa County, but that is a decision this board is going to have to make at some point before we move forward as to whether you wanted to use the adjusted census data with the prisoners or you want to use the pre-prisoner. It doesn't make a lot of difference, but it is a question I'm going to be exploring with you, and you may want to have your counsel for the board take a look at it. It's really your decision. I was just involved with the Board of Education in Solano County, which actually comes a little bit into Napa County for the Fairfield-Sassoon Unified School District, which is in Trustee Area 4 for your board. They do not come out of your territory because Napa Valley College extends to the entire county. But I was talking to them and their consultant was giving them that choice. So I'm glad I learned that because I plan to present that question to you and to the Board of Education, which works with Barbara Nemko. Hold on a sec. I got to close my door. They're vacuuming here. Just a sec. I don't think we needed the background noise. So that's one question that'll be coming up. So we're holding our first, so we held a joint workshop back in September 16th of 4 entities. The Board of Supervisors, the county, this was a workshop led by me without participation needed by board members from either the county, nor the college, nor the Board of Education, nor the City of Napa. The City of Napa, of course, held that joint workshop just because they are using the same consultant that you are and the county is and the Board of Education. And we had a good meeting. We had 30 people in attendance. We're teaching about redistricting, which is what we're going to be doing next Tuesday, the 16th, for our first joint workshop between yourselves and the Board of Education. We'll be showing people how to use the map drawing tool. We will not yet be discussing various elements of redistricting in particular for the college or the Board of Education, but we will for the first time be displaying the deviations that are in place between the current districts and the 2020 census data so that you can make a decision as we get closer to adopting a map as to what kind of deviation you want me to try and follow. So we'll be discussing all that after the fact. That's nothing that needs to be studied ahead of time. I do want to say that any members of the board are welcome to attend the November 16th workshop at 3 p.m. It's going to be in person and remote. And I've sent the information to Ms. Kittle, who I hope has, and to several other members of your staff, who I hope has forwarded that on to you so you can see what the Zoom in. It's best probably for governing board members to not participate necessarily in that meeting because there are Brown Act considerations that we have to be aware of, but you're certainly welcome to listen. I know Board of Education members did listen in on some of our other workshops. Ms. Kittle's been doing a great job on behalf of yourself and Superintendent Kraft on keeping us in the loop, and we've been keeping her in the loop, and she's just been a super liaison for this group. So I'll make sure that Ms. Kittle circulates to you the announcement for the November 16th. I just put out a news release that Ms. Kittle also received today, and she can forward that to you on the November 16th hearing. So just to go over your next meeting after the November 16th meeting, and there is a redistricting calendar for all the entities. Not only is the city, the county, the college, and the Board of Education doing redistricting, but also the Napa Valley Unified School District is doing redistricting. And they are using a separate consultant. They're on a totally separate track. They're not using the same drawing tool that the other 4 of us are using, the city, the college, and the Board of Education and the county, which is called District-er. It's district with a small r at the end. And if none of you have been out to look at it, I suggest you do that. The map currently there, unless it's been fixed, is not representative, and I'll explain that of what it should be. There's 2 issues that I'll talk to you about briefly tonight. But that map should be fixed and ready before the November 16th hearing or public workshop, so that the public will have an opportunity to start playing with it and seeing how you can draw different trustee areas, etc. So your process is different than the Board of Supervisors. The Board of Supervisors, by law, must make their decision by December 15th because 2 board members or 2 supervisor districts, District 1 and 3, are on the June 2022 ballot. Your board is not up until November of 2022, so you're on a much different schedule, and you have one extra step that the Board of Supervisors doesn't have. The Board of Supervisors makes the final decision. You do in a sense, but your final map, which you must adopt by February 28th, has to go to a group called the Committee on School District Reorganization, which is the Board of Education, the 7 elected members of the board. They just put on a different hat. They have to approve yours. They'll have to approve the Napa Valley Unified School District, and they'll have to approve their own Board of Education map as a part of that process. There's that extra step that's put into the adoption process through state law in the education code. They have until March 31st to make their final decision so that I get the information in my election official role no later than April 15th so that I can begin re-precincting, because filing for your offices, those of you that are up in 2022, opens in July. And so I will be, as we're in the middle of getting the June election underway, I'll be re-precincting for your election in November so that people know which district they're in when they file for re-election. So we're going to have the one public workshop with the Board of Education on November 16th at 3 o'clock. And then then we're splitting. Each of your boards have to hold your own public hearings. They're not going to be joint public hearings because your meeting dates don't coincide. And your meetings are slightly different. They meet on, I think, the first Monday or the first Tuesday. You meet, I believe, usually as you are tonight on Wednesday or Thursday. So yours in the schedule. So I think our next meeting with you will be a first public hearing where you'll see some first draft maps. So one of the things I want to offer tonight is I want each of the board members who now know your own districts, if there are things you think need to be changed or you'd like to see, I'd like you to communicate that with me. We can do that one-on-one. We can do it by Zoom. We can do it in person. I will take that information. I won't share it among you, but I will take each individual board member's information and build that into a first map for you all to look at your first meeting. Now, the Board of Education and the College Board have always had coterminous districts. It's not required, and it's certainly not a requirement of redistricting, but there's nothing to prohibit it. You're both 7-member boards, and you both represent the same area except for that little tiny piece of southeastern Napa County that is in the college but is not in the Board of Education. There are 230 people in that little piece of Napa County. And you both extend into Sonoma County because when the college was created, you picked up the portion of the Calistoga Joint Unified School District that goes into Sonoma County. So I don't want to take too much of your time, but let me just explain why that is and why Fairfield-Sassoon Unified School District extends into Napa County. So you extend into Sonoma County because it's easier for those students, the children themselves, to get to schools in Calistoga than it is to go over the mountain to wherever the nearest school is in Sonoma County. And so when the unification of schools took place in the 50s and 60s, the unified school districts, in the case of Calistoga, extended into that area of Sonoma County, and you tracked that as the college when your district was created. And in Fairfield Sassoon, extended into Napa County, because it's much easier for the children in that little portion of southeastern Napa County to get to schools in Green Valley or Fairfield than it is to come all the way, now that Capel Valley is closed. It wasn't then, but even then to try and come all the way over the mountain to the high schools in Napa County. So Fairfield Sassoon's always extended into Napa County, and with Fairfield Sassoon, not for the college, this is just for the school district and their Board of Education, the counterpart of Barbara's team in Solano County, their trustee area too extends into that portion of Napa County. So I've got 230 less people there for the Board of Education, and I have 600 plus people in Sonoma County that are in both of your districts. So the map has to be fixed to represent that additional population from Sonoma for you, and to subtract those 230 people just for the Board of Education. I mean, I've covered a lot in a few seconds, but I did want you to understand how that works. And that all goes back. We didn't discover, by the way, until I became the registrar of voters in 1998, that we actually should have been holding elections in Napa County for the Solano County Board of Education for years. And we weren't doing that. And in one case, we missed, not through our fault, but the Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District had a bond issue that they failed to tell us about. So those 230 people didn't get to vote on their bond issue. They actually sent a questionnaire to all of them. There weren't enough votes that the bond issue would have failed if they had all voted no, but they still sent a mailer in to all of those 230 people, apologized for overlooking them, and asked them if they had any objection to the bond issue going forward. The underwriters for the bonds insisted on that to make sure there wouldn't be some kind of challenge after the fact. So that's where we are. That's where we're going. And the rest of this time is yours to ask me questions or further clarification.
Do we have any questions from the board?
I had a question, but I think you probably want us to just reach out individually in regards to our districts. So I'll hold off on it.
Yeah, I mean, you're welcome to comment on it, but let me just say what I think is going to happen, because this is what's happening with the Board of Supervisors, and I'm pretty sure the same thing is happening with you. So Trustee Area 3, which includes the city of American Canyon, has grown more than the rest of the county, and Trustee Areas 7 and 6 have shrunk in population, not in geography. So most probably they're going to have to expand geographically to pick up some more people, probably moving either further down or into the city of Napa I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do that. That's one of the questions, those of you who are in Trustee Area 7 or 6, if you think you should be expanded, do you have ideas where it would be a nice neighborhood to expand into? Trustee Area 3 is probably going to shrink. It's not going to shrink a lot. It's certainly going to still include the entire city of American Canyon, which is less than the population of one of your districts. I think your population ideal is somewhere around 19,000, and the city of American Canyon still 17,000 something. So you're not going to ever lose, or not this time around, and depending on the growth in American Canyon, at some point you may lose a piece of the city of American Canyon if it's too big for a single trustee area. So those are the primary changes. I don't see 2, 3, 4, and 5 having to make much changes, but whatever happens with 6 and 7 expanding and with 3 shrinking will affect 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 1, 2, 4, and 5 to some extent. So, yes.
I'll just fire it out. So does District 4, with the supervisors, does my supervisor change on my District 4?
I'd have to look at your trustee area, Mr. Iverson, but they are, because there's 7 trustee areas for the college, you don't match the Board of Supervisors. for two reasons. One, you extend a little bit into Sonoma County, so your population's a little different. And two, there's 7 of you and there are only 5 of them. So you do represent the whole county plus that little piece of Sonoma, but they are not coterminous. So trustee area 3 happens to be in supervisor district 5. And from the draft map the board has asked me to prepare for the Board of Supervisors, that's not going to change. We are not bound exactly by what we have. And, the Napa Valley Unified School District went on a different tangent, and they actually split the city of American Canyon in 2 pieces. I'm not sure they're going to do that again. But that is something for this board to consider. If Trustee Goff said to me, I think we ought to split the city of American Canyon, like the school, I see her head shaking, so I'm not putting words in her mouth.
Idea then, I think it's a terrible idea now. So
Right, so I'm just saying, those are the kinds of comments I'd like from you. I was able in the
I
draft.
will be happy to email you.
All right, that's fine.
Email.
And I'm happy to either in person or Zoom. I've got plenty of time over the next weeks. If you want to reach out to me, you can email me and set up a time if we want to talk. I'll look at each of your trustee areas before we talk, and then we can talk about what you're doing. Now, in the case of the Board of Supervisors, I was able to take their 5 comments and build them into the draft map that they're going to be considering the morning of November 16th. Theirs is a public hearing. And there'll be a second public hearing for final adoption by them on December 7th. So I think I got pretty good response from the board at their first meeting, where they didn't have a formal map before them on the draft map that I prepared using the comments I'd received, not just from them, but from the public. I mean, you're not the only ones who get to draw your districts. The public has a say in that too. And so I took the public testimony that we'd been taking since the 16th of September and built that into the draft map. Since we don't have your final map up yet, and we've still got plenty of time for you well into January and February, I'm not putting a big push on public input until we have the correct map. And we've had this first workshop on the 16th so we can show people how to use the tool. It took me a while to learn how to use it. I mean, it's a very friendly tool, and once you understand it, it's great. But it does take a little, and one of the November 16th items on that agenda is a demonstration of the tool. So another reason, if any of you are available on that date, November 16th at 3 p.m., for you to zoom in and see the demonstration so that you can start playing around with that map as well. We will have at that meeting a presentation of the existing trustee areas from 2011, the deviation using the 2020 census data, and then a discussion, not for you yet, we'll talk about that at your first meeting and I may come to a meeting in December with you like I'm doing tonight to get some feedback from you, not about the map, but about issues like, do we want to use the adjusted numbers? These are not map issues. These are policy issues. Do we want to use the adjusted census numbers? And do you want to worry about the deviation? For instance, the Solano County Board of Education, their deviation is well within the limit, and they may not change anything. I don't think that's going to be the case for the College Board or the Board of Education because of the growth in American Canyon and the actual loss of population in the Up Valley. We've actually shrunk in number of people up there. So I don't think that'll apply here. But they did have that choice, and at the moment they're moving in that direction not to change their trustee areas. I'd be happy to answer any other questions if there are.
Do we have any other questions? I don't see any. So thank you very much for being with us this evening, and I guess we'll get to see you again soon.
Yes, and please
over and over.
Please reach out to me between now and the 16th. I mean, we're all closed tomorrow for Veterans Day, but I am around on Friday and Monday. Not that anything's going to happen on the 16th, but if I start to get some ideas about, excuse me, changes in trustee areas, I could use those just as a discussion topic at the workshop on the 16th. Thank you, Madam President, and I will
you.
bail out and let you go on with your meeting.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate your time. All right, so next we have public comment. This is general public comment. So this is for items that are not on our agenda. This public comment opportunity is governed by the State of California Brown Act. By definition, this is an opportunity to hear concerns, perspectives, and differing vantage points. The board is not able under the Brown Act to engage in any level of conversation or discussion, but we look forward to this opportunity to gather community input. At this time, the Board of Trustees will devote up to 15 minutes to review comment to the Board of Trustees regarding any subject not appearing as an agenda item for this meeting, but over which the board has jurisdiction. The public may request that the board place an item related to the business of the district on a future board agenda. No action or discussion will occur at this time on such items. Each comment shall last no longer than 3 minutes. Do we have any public comment?
I have not received any, and let me see, I don't see any hands raised.
Nor do I. All right, then. So we will close public comment, and then we are moving on to reports. So our first report is from the Academic Senate. Dr. Eileen Tejada, President, is present with us this evening, and she has the floor.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, Board of Trustees, administrators, classified professionals, and students and faculty. Tonight, I am respectfully requesting the chair's indulgence and invoking Ed Code Title V regs and CCLC and State Academic Senate guidelines for participating in Board of Trustees meetings while giving reports, given that we are not limited, the Academic Senate is not limited by time. So I just want you to know I am going to go over the 5 minutes, but I think that it's warranted and I have some important information to share with you. As part of my report tonight, Trustee Baker will read a joint statement that she and I wrote to address the public comment made at the October Board of Trustees meeting, inquiring about the relationship between the Napa Valley College Academic Senate and the Board of Trustees. Trustee Baker?
Gotta figure out how to unmute myself again. Yes, give me just a second to find it. Yes, thank you. Okay, so this is to the NVC campus community from Jennifer Baker, Chair of the NVC Board of Trustees, and Dr. Eileen Tejada, President of the NVC Academic Senate. The joint statement addressing public comment, dated today, November 10th, 2021, and I will be making certain that I was realizing that I don't know that this was actually submitted to Ms. Kittle. So we'll make certain that this gets added to board docs after the fact. So it's part of the public record. This statement addresses the public comment made to the NVC Board of Trustees at the October 2021 meeting, requesting an update on the status of the relationship between the Board of Trustees and the Academic Senate. In response to this request, Trustee Baker and Dr. Tejada conferred and drafted this joint statement. As background, at its May 2021 meeting, the Napa Valley College Board of Trustees took action against the Napa Valley College Academic Senate President, interrupting her during her annual report and voting to move her report to the end of the BOT agenda. Dr. Tejada, the first person of Afro-Indigenous descent to serve in a faculty leadership position at Napa Valley College since its inception, called attention to the board's action as a demonstration of implicit bias and racial insensitivity, and further pointed out that this was indicative of a pattern of disrespectful behavior toward her. The Napa Valley College Academic Senate Executive Committee subsequently wrote a letter to the Napa Valley College Board of Trustees denouncing the board's behavior and affirming Dr. Tejada's assessment of the behavior as racist. Trustee Baker responded to the Academic Senate Executive Committee in a letter dated May 21, 2021, offering an apology for not following appropriate meeting protocols and outlining plans to address her perception of the conflict and ongoing relationship concerns via the creation of an ad hoc committee. At the time of the incident at the May 2021 meeting, and also in her communication to the Academic Senate Executive Committee, Trustee Baker described the relationship with the Academic Senate as broken. This was surprising and concerning to Dr. Tejada, who felt she was following the protocols for Academic Senate presidents and reporting concerns about the accreditation process and issues emerging from the Institutional Self-Evaluation and Review, ICER, to the NVC Board of Trustees. Dr. Tejada wrote a letter to Trustee Baker affirming her assessment of the NVC Board of Trustees' implicit bias and inviting her to a meeting with the Napa Valley College Faculty Association president and herself. All parties accepted and met in early June. Since then, Trustee Baker, Dr. Tejada, and NVCFA President Iwamoto have met several times. Through this ongoing commitment to open communication, a great deal of progress has been made toward resolving conflicts stemming from misinformation and misunderstanding of the role of the Academic Senate and its relationship to the Board of Trustees communicated to the NVC Board of Trustees by the Office of the President. Additional members of the board have also been in communication with Dr. Tejada and other faculty, bringing further resolution to any misunderstanding. As a result of these efforts, both Dr. Tejada and Trustee Baker can say with confidence that the relationship between the board and the Academic Senate is healthy. This has already been evidenced via collaborative work accomplished for the presidential search process. To continue to nurture effective communication and a strong relationship between the NVC Board of Trustees and the NVC Academic Senate, we intend to do the following. 1, continue practicing active listening and open communication. 2, convene a faculty trustee ad hoc committee to plan a joint retreat of the NVC Academic Senate Executive Committee, NVC Board of Trustees, and the new superintendent president to A, review 10+1 and effective participatory governance. B, train NVC Board of Trustees and college leadership across constituent groups in recognizing and unlearning implicit bias and anti-Blackness behavior. C, train NVC BOT and NVC leadership across constituent groups in nurturing an equity-minded college culture. Both the NVC Board of Trustees and NVC Academic Senate continue to be committed to working collaboratively to ensure our students are served effectively. We look forward to working together in the new year as NVC enters into a period of transition under new leadership. Thank you, and I can now send the floor back to Dr. Tejada.
Thank you so very much, Trustee Baker. And I just want to say that I really continue to appreciate our ability to work together. So I want to just say that. Thank you again. So Catherine, could you please go ahead and open the PowerPoint? Thank you. So I wanted to give you an update of some of the things that are happening at the state level that will have a definite impact on us as a college. And so, Catherine, if you would, go ahead and change slide. So I wanted to give a legislative update. I went ahead and included the slide. Go ahead, you can keep going, Catherine. I'm trying to move it along so that I'm trying to be respectful of the time, but there's some really important stuff in here. So please, again, I ask your indulgence. So this is the Title V and Ed Code regulations that will be regulating us and checking in to make sure that we are complying with and are developing the structures that we need to fulfill these mandates to better serve our students. Okay, go ahead, Catherine. Thank you. Next slide. So I wanted to give you an overview of the legislation, but these are the places where you can actually find the regulations, the guidelines, and then this program course approval handbook from the State Academic Senate, affectionately called the PACA, will also have guidelines in terms of implementation. So, yeah, so let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so here's the legislation. We have AB 928, and this has to do with transfer, and it was signed by the governor. It is looking for implementation of pathways to CSU and UC, and there's a lot up in the air about this legislation. So we're going to be the Academic Senate, Curriculum Committee, the Articulation Officer, the Academic Office of Academic Affairs. We're all on this because we will need to have this in place. And there's still some pieces that, like UC is being a bit resistant because they're not legislated to. So we have to there's a bit of a balancing act. So we'll have more on that, but I just wanted to again, have you keep an eye on AB 928. Let's go ahead and move to the next slide. This is the the Gen Ed, graduation and Gen Ed requirements. Again, these are bills that I'm going to come back to the ethnic studies, in terms of graduation requirements in a bit. But here's an update on that legislation. Go ahead. Let's keep moving. Assessment. We all know about AB 705. We still need to include, we're still working with how to create capacity to fulfill this mandate. And we've got some things in place in English and math and ESL. So we've got faculty continuing to work on it, but I think we're going to need to do a little bit more, and we'll talk about that later. All right. Common course numbering. The AB 1111 is gnarly. Okay. And just so you know, there is a deadline for this one. We have to have common course numbering in place by July 1st, 2024. So you can imagine in terms of the work that the curriculum have to do. And again, I want us to pay attention to this because this speaks to a theme of capacity. Do we have the capacity to actually be able to do this work and meet these deadlines as mandated? And so that we'll keep going. Go ahead, Catherine. Go ahead, and then these are some additional bills that passed. The grant reform one did not. All right, let's continue. All right. So the State Academic Senate is working with these folks as to meet the mandates, to create capacity within the systems, to continue dialogue between systems as well. So these are some of the stakeholders, and note CCLC is in the mix. Okay, and so the other thing is, let me just say this, as Board of Trustees, you too can get the CCLC perspective on these mandates so that we can begin to talk about capacity for Napa Valley College. So there is a role for you to play in the development of the capacity to meet these mandates. All right, let's move to the ethnic studies graduation requirements. So this one is huge. So what this ethnic studies requirement, what this does is it adds ethnic studies to the math and English requirement for the associate degree. So I want you to think about this for a minute, because again, this is huge in terms of institutional capacity. English has, in order to meet this requirement, we have an English department fully staffed with English faculty. All right, so we develop the courses, the curriculum. We work with the articulation officer. We work with the curriculum committee, as does math. We do not have an ethnic studies department. We have 2 humanity full-time tenure track professors. who are engaging in the work of ethnic studies. We do not have any written policy or procedures for creating a new department or division. And so I'm envisioning that at some point we would have a division. We'd call it the Ethnic Studies and Gender, Ethnic and Gender Studies, or something like that, where we could, have the capacity to really do this, to get the courses and the classes created and implemented. And let me just go ahead, Catherine, go down one. The next slide, please. For ethnic studies, for courses to count as ethnic studies courses, they have to have these, at least for the CSUs, they have to have these 5 core competencies. And from discussions with the current 2 humanities faculty that are engaging in this, it is a lot of work. And like I said, we only have 2 faculty working on this. Let's go ahead, Catherine. I put these in here to just reinforce what the role of faculty is in this with these changes and how we handle curricula, and also to include the philosophy on general education. Go ahead and scoot, move it up. Thank you, Catherine. Okay, and then again, the role of faculty in revising gen ed requirements. And so you can see that this is kind of like at the core of the 10+1. Let's go ahead and move the, and on, there they are, the holy 10+1. So as you can see, 1 and 2 hit this square, this hits it on the bullseye. Let's go one more. The role of the curriculum committee. And of course, Catherine has, this has been posted, so if you want to review these slides, I invite you to please do so. Let's move up one more. You scroll up. Now, just like the Academic Senate has 10+1, students have a role to play in this. Students are mandated. They have the 9+1. And so we want to engage students at every step, at every level and step of the way as we create these structures and create capacity in our institution. They need to be a part of it. And again, I invite you to look at the 9+1. Specifically, well, all of them, but I'm going to be talking about planning and budget in a minute. Go ahead and scroll up. So who needs to be involved in these discussions? These are the folks, all of us, so that we can create the infrastructure within Napa Valley College to handle these mandates. All right, Catherine, I think that's it. Thank you so very much. And then, so the theme at the plenary session was really building capacity within the institutions. And so I'm concerned because the assumption in terms of building capacity within the infrastructure, taking our institution, bringing our institutions into the 21st century, assumes that we have a vibrant, integrated program review, planning, and budget process grounded in the principles and values of effective participatory governance. Napa Valley College is not a corporation, nor should it be. We are a public institution of higher learning. We're not extractive, exploitive, or profit-driven. And so, on the contrary, we develop processes that engage us with civic duty and the values that sustain democracy through critical thinking. Our ICER and our audit have revealed some deficiencies that demand our immediate attention, focus, and action. And the Academic Senate is committed to, to Napa Valley College engaging in practices that model integrity and effectively serve our students. So it is with this intention that the Napa Valley College Academic Senate passed the following resolution unanimously. Whereas, and we'll be sending this out, whereas processes for institutional planning and budget development are a 10+1 academic and professional matters with respect to Napa Valley College Academic Senate is empowered by law to make recommendations. Whereas the Napa Valley College Academic Senate leadership has acted in good faith in attempting to revise board policies and administrative procedures to ensure clarity, transparency, effective participation, and collegial consultation, as demonstrated by the work of the 2020 Summer Policy Task Force. Whereas the Napa Valley College Academic Senate has communicated its concern about the lack of integration of the planning and budget processes to the Office of the President and to the Council of Presidents, including sending Administrative Procedure 3250 institutional planning back to the Planning and Budget Committee on February 26, 2021, with annotations noting the lack of linkages in AP 3250 between the planning process and resource allocation. Whereas the Napa Valley College Senate has noted and communicated its concerns about recent changes in the practices of the Planning and Budget Committee, including merely reviewing and approving plans and budgets developed by administrators in isolation, instead of adhering to the past practice of creating or modifying the institutional strategic plan and institutional budget in committee in the spirit of effective participatory governance. Whereas the lack of administrative procedures describing a transparent and integrated resource allocation and budget development process that is driven by program review and planning continues to impede the ability of units to plan and creates vagueness and distrust within the Napa Valley College community. Whereas the absence of a clear, established, and effective participatory process in planning and budget development, coupled with an administrative culture of using siloed and obscure approaches to resource allocation, has impeded Napa Valley College's ability to address Standard 3D in the ICER, thereby negatively impacting our ability to substantiate and communicate our processes to the ACCJC. Be it resolved that we instruct the faculty co-chair of the Planning and Budget Committee as a representative of the Academic Senate to encourage the Planning and Budget Committee to organize multi-constituent work groups to revise and create respectively AP 3250 institutional planning and AP 6200 the budget process using D1150 as a guide to ensure Napa Valley College has an integrated and transparent planning and budget process developed through effective participatory governance and driven by program review, student success, and accomplishment of mission, completing this task by April 2022. Let it further be resolved that the Napa Valley College Academic Senate and the Academic Senate Executive Committee will receive monthly updates as to the status of AP 3250 and AP 6200. I want to thank the board for its patience with me this evening, but I thought that this is important given the latest news that we've received about fiscal matters and the college. Thank you so very much. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Tejada. I see that Trustee Dodd has his hand raised. Did you have a question or comment?
Yeah, no, a couple comment. Thank you for Dr. Tejada. Thank you for the thoughtful PowerPoint. I think it's just really nice actually. It's hard for me to see on my, I have a smaller screen, so it's really nice to actually be able to look at it on my computer side. But I did have a couple of questions on some of the citations or some of the new laws, just a little bit of insight on it. But yeah, I wanted to say, and I feel kind of in that regard too for the Academic Senate's resolution, it would have been helpful maybe seeing that as well. It was just hard. I think it's hard for us, maybe just working in this kind of remote environment, to follow a lot of that, especially, when there's citations to certain policies and accreditation standards. It's just helpful. So if you could circulate that or Catherine maybe could circulate that to.
So normal, Trustee Dodd, normally I would send it. It was just passed on Tuesday, and between teaching commitments and I apologize. You will have it. You will have an individual copy. It's being formatted so that it can get to Catherine and it can be posted as part of the public record. But you will be getting your own copy. I'll be personally emailing it to you.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure I was just getting everything too. Thank you for that. So the two questions on the two bills is for the AB 1111, I'll just say, for the Common Course numbering system. What is it? Is that just a Common Course? Can you just kind of walk us through what that means?
Sure. It means that they're across colleges and university in California. When we create a pathway in terms of transferring, we're going to have common course numbers. So no longer will a student, say, going to Solano College, who happens to want to transfer or who wants to come and take a course at Napa, they're going to be able to see if they want to take English, let's say our English 120, and they rename it English 1A, it'll be English 1A throughout the entire system.
Got it. Okay, that's what I thought. It's really kind of streamlining that.
It's going to be great for students. Getting there is going to be real interesting because it's extremely labor intensive, and we all across systems have to agree.
Perfect. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought, and that's helpful for transfers too, right? And for the ethnic studies regarding, this is my last question. Did you say that you think we need to create a new division for ethnic studies, or maybe we might need to do that, or is that what you said, or could that course, because it only requires one course, or could that be taught under an existing division? I mean, do we need to create a new position?
Okay, so think about this. It is discipline in and of itself, and it is a program. It is a degree program. So in that sense, and now it's a graduation requirement. So in that sense, we do not have our infrastructure at Napa Valley College. We don't have the infrastructure. It doesn't exist. We don't even have the course label for ethnic studies, which in order for it to count, it has to have that label. What we have done is we created courses within the humanities that will, once we pour in the competencies, they're going to be fine. However, remember that it's a discipline. It's not just they take a course and that's it. It's actually a discipline that deserves space within the college. And so I think that my recommendation, because a division would then place women's studies, which was cut years ago, and I apologize about my dog. Women's studies, LGBTQ studies, Africana studies, Latinx studies, Asian American studies. So it would be a complement of courses that would address the discipline. You guys, knock it off.
It's fine. I can hear you fine. Yeah.
That would address the needs of the discipline. So our students right now are not. We are, and I'm going to frame it this way. We are not offering the complement of disciplines that community college students are being offered in other places. And we are lacking, it's a lack, it's a void. And for years, since the 1970s, faculty have been trying to get an ethnic studies and ethnic and gender studies division. And so that's where we are. Since the 1970s, we've been trying to do this. So now we're being mandated, and we don't have the capacity to do it in the way that we're being instructed to do it by the State Academic Senate and by the legislature. And not in that order, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tejada. Did anyone else have any questions or comments? If not, then we can move on to 8.3, Administrative Confidential Senate Report. Mr. Harris, President.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, good. Good evening, trustees, colleagues in the Napa Valley College community. I'd like to begin by recognizing and honoring the women and men who have served and continue to serve overseas and domestically in the United States Armed Forces. We thank them for their service to and for our country. In recent weeks, the Mutual Gains team of the Administrative Senate has been meeting with campus administration to open communication about advancing the status of the Administrative Confidential Constituency. It was felt that while the discussions were preliminary, there was potential for gains to be made in the not-too-distant future. We, the members of the Mutual Gains team and the members of the Administrative Senate, are hopeful that we can continue these discussions in the coming weeks in order to advance and improve the status of our overall constituency. This afternoon, the campus community received communication that the ACCJC has placed Napa Valley College on enhanced fiscal monitoring status. While this may be surprising to some, it is likely not surprising to others. In fact, it is something that some have forecast in the recent years. The current challenges of completing Standard 3B of the ISER is an example. As a campus, we should view this as an open invitation and opportunity for true transparency, true and honest collaboration by all campus personnel, and an opportunity to refocus our collective attention to resolve the issues that have arisen. The challenges that are before us did not suddenly arise, and they are complex in nature. But as a campus, we have the opportunity to rebuild and refocus and do so in open, transparent, and honest communication. There are very difficult decisions that will need to be made, and we are in the midst of a significant transition. It is imperative that these difficult decisions and the processes to arrive at these decisions are done in a manner that is transparent and open as appropriate. Our current situation did not suddenly descend upon us, nor will it be solved quickly. Now is the time to work together and to utilize the collective brainpower on campus to right the ship. We, as a campus collective, can and we will. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Harris. And next we have Associated Students of Napa Valley College report. Marcus Texan, President.
Thank you. Good evening, trustees, Dr. Kraft, college administrators, faculty, and the college community. First and foremost, I would like to recognize any and all veterans joining us today. On behalf of the Associated Students of Napa Valley College, I would like to thank you for your commitment and service to our country. At the end of October, ASNVC held an event called Spooktacular Halloween, which we had approximately 100 attendees. The Child Development Center was invited. 120 trick-or-treat bags were distributed. The 1300 building was transformed into a haunted house, and several activities from scavenger hunts to a photo booth were also incorporated as well. A resource fair was also held, including resource groups such as EOPS, the Career Center, Math Center, the Napa County Office of Education, and several others. We would like to extend a thank you to our volunteers that helped put this event together, as well as our donors. After a review of ASNVC activities, this past week, we have a total of 36 completed and ongoing activities. To put this into context, historically, ASNVC had completed 36 events at the end of the semester. So not to gloat or anything, but this term has completed 36 events over 3 months at half staff, which is quite impressive. And again, to reflect on this Monday, we had the chancellor visit. I wasn't able to attend personally because I was at high school, but I heard it went well. And I'll let Holly talk about that further in detail in her report. In other news, ASNVC has completed its bylaws and they were passed on October 8th. ICC is not able to form this semester, and ASNVC will provide support throughout the end of the semester until the spring, when they will hopefully form. And then lastly, ASNVC is planning to do a holiday event in collaboration with the clubs in the Basic Needs Center. It's been a busy fall semester, but we've been pushing through it, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Texan. And next we have the Classified Association report. Dixie Larson, president. I believe she's with us.
Unmute. Thank you, and good evening to everybody. We'd also like to thank the veterans for their service. And that's all I have tonight.
Very good. Short and sweet.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. All right. Then next we have classified Senate report. Martin Shoemaker, president. Is he with us this evening? Don't think I saw.
I don't see him.
I don't think he's here with us. All right then. So then next we have Faculty Association report. Christy Iwamoto, president, is with us.
Good evening, board. Good evening, everyone here. To just give you a report, we are currently working on our, after the board's passing of the vaccine mandate, we are working on our COVID vaccination and return to work processes and putting that into an MOU. So we're working diligently with the district to look at what procedures need to be put into place and have something that we can all agree upon and that works well for everyone. We are also currently looking at the job of our program coordinators, which is actually the job of a faculty member in most departments to take on, to basically become a leader in that department and to take on some administrative duties. It seems that the job is an ever-growing job, and it's kind of gotten more duties and side duties placed on it. We're really trying to look at how much time it takes someone to do a program coordinator's job right now. So there's a survey going out to faculty right now because it seems like not enough in a day. And so we are working on how to streamline that process and how to adequately compensate faculty for the work they're doing there. We are hoping to get some extra office hours for our part-time faculty. As you know, we really pushed hard to get part-time faculty some office hours in some departments. English and math have always had office hours. No, not always, but have had them longer. We just very recently were able to get office hours for all of our part-time faculty, and we're a little behind the curve on that. And we're looking to get more. There was one-time money budgeted in this year for part-time office hours as well. The Chancellor's Office has stated that office hours, particularly in an online setting, and more of our classes are still online, count as meaningful contact hours. Because of course, if you're teaching an online asynchronous class, where can students always go to speak to their instructors one-on-one and get feedback in those office hours? And the way that we have our office hours set up now, some part-time faculty only get one office hour per semester. And if that's used up in September, and then a student says, I need to speak with you about something, that part-time faculty member now either has to tell that student, sorry, can't meet with you, or they are actually working for free. They are just giving their time to meet with students. So what we have now is progress, and I'm very appreciative that we have something for them, but I think we can do better, and I think what we have right now is not enough. Another issue that is kind of creeping up on us right now is evaluations, administrative evaluations of faculty. We have some concerns as a union that our process, we have consistent forms that are being used for administrative evaluation of all of our faculty, full and part-time, contract or tenured. We have a consistent form, but no consistent process of how one gets the answers to the questions on that form. And so the union has an interest in really making sure that every administrator is following the same process and that faculty are being treated equitably when it comes to being evaluated by their administrator. So that is something that we're just beginning talks on now. We're still below the 50% law, of course. Not sure how to fix that yet, but we should. And we still have actually not gotten the exact amount of how far below we are. We've heard a few estimates, but is it 54? Is it 50? I mean, is it 44? Is it 46? I heard it could be either, and I'm not sure, but that would help us to determine how we remedy that issue. As far as the news regarding the ACCJC and the enhanced monitoring, what is it to say? Really, it's kind of been like the slow moving train of planning and budget issues that have been coming down the tunnel at us. The union has called for transparency on several occasions. We've asked questions about the budget in negotiations, gotten slow answers, gotten delays, sometimes gotten silence. I think we really need to ask ourselves, how do we come together, all of us as a faculty, as a college, to fix these issues? And more importantly, how did we get into these issues in the first place? That is something that we need to really lay out on the table and work on together. And it needs to be a very open and transparent process. Thank you so much to all of our veterans. As the daughter of a Navy man who served in Vietnam, and family who have had a long history with the military, I'm hoping to attend a parade with my dog. We do a big parade every year, and march with the military families. And so I'm excited to do that. And otherwise, that is all I have for my report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we move on, a couple things. First, I just really want to say how much I appreciate hearing from all of our constituent groups regarding the notice from ACCJC, and that it's very much appreciated that your ability to look at it as a positive opportunity, even though we are kind of not in the best situation right now. But it gives me a lot of, it's very encouraging to hear that we're all in this together. We're going to figure it out. And so we appreciate that. And I do appreciate your understanding that we're working on it. Before we move on, Dr. Kraft, I'm going to beg your indulgence. If we could please move item 9.2 and 9.3 in front of 9.1, because Jessica Erickson, who's here to present on these two items, has a babysitter who wants to go home. So if you're all right with that, we will give Miss Erickson the floor for 9.2, acceptance of the wine spectator gift.
Please,
Hi.
yes, yeah.
Thomason, Jessica Thomason.
Oh, I'm so sorry. What did I say?
Erickson. That's okay.
I'm sorry.
Everyone knew
That's me. I apologize. I was looking at it, Erickson, and then, so sorry.
Okay. Not a problem.
I should know that. My grandmother was a Thomason. Sorry.
That's okay. It's not a problem. And I thank you for taking in consideration that my babysitter's leaving shortly. I appreciate that. So good evening, trustees, college administrators, and members of the community. I'm very happy to share with you about the Wine Spectator gift. And we have a PowerPoint presentation so I can walk you through the project. So I wanted to start this evening with kind of some of the original planning and images that we used when we first started talking about this gift and this project. These conversations started back in 2016. And as was announced, this summer we did receive confirmation of the gift from the Wine Spectator Scholarship Foundation. So in this original slide, you'll see kind of an aerial view of the current facilities housing the VWT department and programs. You can see on the top left a grove of olive trees. That's where the proposed sensory classroom building will be. Directly next to it, you can see the Trefethen classroom, and the project is proposing a remodel of that building. And then directly next to that, that's the cellar and storage building where your cursor is.
Sorry.
No, not a problem. So directly next to the olive grove it's the Trefethen building right down there. And then directly next to that is the outdoor classroom elements and landscaping, which is in between where the current ag lab is and the Trefethen building, correct. And then the reconstruction of the ag building. So those are the 3 phases of the Wine Education Center project. It does not include the existing cellar and storage building and the teaching winery. It is the space and facilities directly in front of that. So we can go to the next slide. The next slide is the proposed plans for the new facilities. So you can see it's the same aerial view, and you can see instead of the olive grove, there's a new classroom, and then the remodel of the Trefethen building, and then the ag lab, which would be a modern sales training facility and tasting room. And the name that we are proposing, that the Wine Spectator is proposing for the complex, is the Wine Spectator Wine Education Complex at the Napa Valley College. So the next slide, I'm going to go into a little more detail on each phase. Phase 1, the proposed name is the Wine Spectator Classroom. It's the value is about 8.1 million. This would include a 6,000 square foot sensory classroom. It would be built to be able to accommodate up to 100 students. You can look in the view where you can see the inside of the building, that there's a partition wall that goes down the middle, which would separate the space into 2 classrooms of 50 each. So there would be some flexibility with the space. It would incorporate acoustical design and curated lighting that's specifically for wine sensory classes. So we can go to the next slide. Details out phase 2 with the proposed name, the Wine Spectator Laboratory. So this would be a conversion and remodel of the current Trefethen classroom into a modern wine laboratory that would be used for both instruction and production. So it would be a model of the existing classroom, and it would add additional lab stations, a purified air environment for wine tasting instruction, and other upgrades and replacements to accommodate more students. So you can see the view on the left, and then the image on the right shows the front of the Trefethen building with the sensory classroom adjacent to it. So we can go to phase 3, which is the proposed name, the Wine Spectator Tasting Room. This is about 2.1 million. So this is a rebuild of the Ag Lab, which I understand is the oldest building on campus. So it's a rebuild of that building to convert into a wine sales training facility. This space would have indoor and outdoor spaces for hospitality, marketing, and sales classes. It would also include a tasting room for wine sales and hospitality courses that would also serve as a public tasting room and retail sales hub for the college's wine. So those images can show you the inside of the tasting room, what it looks like, and then again, an aerial view of all 3 facilities. So I know this will be addressed later on in the meeting, but we had a committee that included Matt Christensen and facilities and other college administrators and foundation board members and as well as the donor to review various architecture proposals. The recommended architect was TLCD. I just wanted to share some of the key qualifications that were taken into consideration when recommending this architect. They had demonstrated DSA experience, extensive community college experience, and did extensive work at the college, including the McCarthy Library, the gym, the Life Sciences building, and the Ceramics building. They also did the Wine Spectator Learning Center at Sonoma State. So they definitely have the experience, the relevant experience to handle this project well. They're also local, which was a plus. So the contract with the Wine Spectator Scholarship Foundation, it was secured in July. It was for $10 million with an additional contingency of $1.2 million. So a not to exceed total of $11.2 million for the construction of the Wine Education Center. Additionally, the foundation is in a process of receiving another significant gift, potentially as significant as the Wine Spectator gift. This is soon to be announced. It's from the estate of a donor who was cultivated and stewarded by the foundation, and also was a significant contributor over the years. So these two investments will yield significant return on investment for the college, and it also fulfills our very purpose as a foundation and the entirety of our efforts, which exist solely for the benefit of the college. In doing these projects, we've incurred significant costs in realizing these gifts, with efforts going towards the Wine Spectator gift going back as early as 2016. These expenditures were necessary. They helped us to solidify the gift agreement, and they also cannot be recouped out of the donation that was made for the new facilities. So that being said, this fiscal year, the foundation, with projected and necessary expenses, will need to raise an additional $120,000 in operational support to avoid a significant budget shortfall. With this in mind and moving forward, we hope the college will consider leaving some room for support for the foundation and its future budgetary proceedings. And we will be following up with a proposal for ongoing support. Doing this will help us to continue to strengthen our capacity to fundraise beyond scholarships and for more college programs that have the greatest identifiable need, and to do it in a way that's ongoing and sustainable year after year. We want to do more projects like the Wine Spectator, many more for several programs and needs throughout the college. And so we're looking at the best way we can boost the foundation's resources to continue doing that. So I want to thank you for your time and consideration. Please follow up with me if you have any questions. And we just greatly appreciate your support of our efforts.
Ms. Thomason.
It's okay.
My grandmother's rolling in her grave. But I think we do need to take action on both of these items. But before we do that, does anyone have any questions on either the gift or the naming? No? All right, then.
I wanted to ask, or I just wanted to thank Jessica. She's put a lot of hard work in on this, and I think that this and where the foundation is going, I think is huge, and it's a wonderful opportunity for the district. And I think there's going to be some other areas. There's a lot of discussion, and Jessica, you can speak to this probably in a little more detail, but reaching out with the district as a whole, administrative, classified, and everyone. I think there's some real strong momentum with the foundation that wasn't there in the past. So with that, I'll move for approval for accepting the Wine Spectator gift.
Baldini, second.
Same. And I don't believe we have any public comment. Catherine just sent me a note that there is none. So if we have no further discussion on this one, Trustee Dodd, what is your vote?
Yes.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Baldini?
Aye.
Trustee DeLuna?
Aye.
Trustee Rios?
Aye.
And Student Trustee Soto Gonzalez?
Aye.
And I will also vote aye. So we have a unanimous acceptance of this gift from the Wine Spectator. And then now we have to approve the naming of this new facility. So do we have a motion for that?
Motion for approval, Trustee Dodd.
Second.
First from Dodd and second from Rios. Any public comment on this?
I see no public comment.
All right. And so we will then take our vote. Trustee Dodd, what is your vote?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Iverson?
Decidedly aye.
Trustee Baldini?
Aye.
Trustee DeLuna?
Aye.
Trustee Rios?
Aye.
Student Trustee Soto Gonzalez?
Aye.
And I also will vote in the affirmative. Aye. So we have a unanimous vote to accept or to approve the naming of the wine education complex. So,
Chair, could I just make one comment to
absolutely.
Jessica? Yeah. And Jessica, thanks so much, and thank you for all of your efforts and time spent. I know it's a lot and a lot of late nights. But I think when we get the project back, just something that's important to me to go over. Once the team goes through the design process, is really what are we doing to be a green facility, environmentally sustainable in terms of energy resources. I mean, obviously Napa is 100% the leader in the wine industry, but I think we really want to be a leader in terms of environmental sustainability as well. So it'd be helpful to note, if there's an opportunity when you go back and provide an update to the board in the upcoming months or next year, in fact, it would just be nice to know what the architect and the team is thinking about in terms of that direction.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been talked about kind of through all these original discussions, and the design and the budget numbers included LEED certification and took into consideration all those.
That would be amazing, right? Yeah, totally. Yep. Glad you're thinking about that.
Yeah. That was
Great
all.
work, Jessica.
Yeah. Thank you.
Work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. And perfect timing, 7 o'clock. So
I know.
we'll be happy.
Hey, 1 minute.
I remember those days. All right, then. So now we're circling back to 9.1, President and Cabinet reports. Dr. Kraft.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's a great, that was a wonderful 9.2 and 3. Been working a long time on these gifts and really will change the face of the college. We have an accreditation of public affairs, an update on spring classes, and then I don't believe we have cabinet updates, but I would point to the 2022 student affairs report that is attached. So let's start with accreditation and work our way through. I think Dr. McGowan and probably Dr. Warnall, but we'll see who's there.
Yes, we're both here, I think, but I'll be giving the ICER update, and Robin will speak to the overall process with timelines included in a few minutes.
Thanks, Jim.
You're quite welcome. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Catherine. So this is our November, excuse me, November update, and this will be our last update in this format. Our next Board of Trustees meeting will be for approving the ICER, which would then go to ACCJC in December 15th. However, I expect there will be some more accreditation-related updates in 2022, so I may be coming back. But for now, I'll give you the November update. If you wouldn't mind, please advancing the slide, Catherine. Mm-hmm. Okay, so three-part update. The ICER draft itself, the activities associated with it that we've been up to for the last month or so, and then a little bit on the institutional improvement plans and the quality focus essay, which will be appended to the ICER itself. So where are we in terms of the ICER draft? Standards 1, 2, and 4 have been posted to the campus community in their entirety. They're not final drafts quite yet, but they're pretty darn close. A lot of evidence is linked alongside those drafts, and we, Robin and I, and Bethany in Robin's office are continuing to develop evidence to continue to link in, but there are hundreds of pieces at this point, so it's quite a task. To kickstart the finalization of the ICER and make it into its final form that we will be presenting to the readers, we have sent 1A, subsection 1A to Holly's office, who is working with the graphic designer to get it finalized and exciting and beautiful and full of images and something we can all be proud of. So very much looking forward to that mock-up coming back, because it's going to be our first glimpse of what the ICER might actually look like in the end. So standards 1, 2, and 4 are up. Standard 3, of course, is the one that we've been struggling with in varying ways for quite a while now. There are 4 sections, A, B, C, D, 2, 3, and we have posted 1B today. That's physical resources. We are, Robin and I are finalizing 1A, human resources, and 1C, technology resources, right now, and we hope to be posting those alongside 1B that we posted today within the coming days, maybe as soon as tomorrow. Okay, so which leaves us standard 3D. That's the one that we've been coming back to every meeting in one way or another in the recent past. So the Accreditation Steering Committee reviewed standard 3D at the end of October. So Vice President Roberts was able to give us a draft. October 17th, I think it arrived in the inboxes for the co-chairs, and then we put it in front of the Accreditation Steering Committee the following week. And it was part of an overall review of Standard 3 itself, but the Accreditation Steering Committee focused almost exclusively on 3D. On the advice of the Accreditation Steering Committee, Robin and I returned 3D to President Kraft and the vice presidents in hopes of getting an updated and revised version of it before moving forward. And we submitted that back to them on November 1st. So, as I understand it, Vice President Roberts has been working on it. And we expect to get an updated draft of 3D by Friday, which means Robin and I will work through the weekend to get it finalized in time to post, because our 3D forum is scheduled for Tuesday. Excuse me, our standard 3 forum, all of them, scheduled for Tuesday. And to that end, I'll ask Catherine to advance to the next slide and final slide. Oh, sorry, it's not the final slide. It's the middle slide. So, campus forums. As you all know, we've been holding a series of 2-hour forums on each of the standards. We had 1 and 2 in October. We held the forum on Standard 4 a couple of weeks ago, actually a couple of days ago. Time flies. Last week. And the turnout's been pretty good. It's, kind of half and half. Live attendees in the community room and in Zoom. And we've presented a slideshow that describes the standards themselves, because I think we're really hoping that everyone on campus is going to become more aware of and attentive to the accreditation standards. So to that end, we've been sort of using the opportunity to do a little educating. We have summarized the responses in the ICER, including highlighting several of the effective practices that we mentioned across standards 1, 2, and 4, and then identifying areas of improvement. And what I mean by that is the areas of improvement have already been identified in the ICER. We're just communicating them to the forum. And then we've always opened it up to questions and comments, and a lot of good has come back from the attendees of the forum. I think just last night, I think I sent a follow-up email summarizing the activities in the Standard 4 forum, and then we had done the same for the Standard 2 and the Standard 1, including identifying comments that we had received from the forum attendees in terms of improvements and changes that they would like to see made in the ICER in the next couple of weeks. So it's been pretty valuable. It's been very valuable, actually. And it's good to hear from everyone and good to see people, honestly, in person. Standard 3, our final forum about the ICER standards is to be held Tuesday, 10 o'clock, community room. We'll be looking at standards 1, 2, 3, and 4. We are going, standards 3A, B, C, and D. We are going to post what we have in time for that forum so people can review it. And then we have one more final forum scheduled on Thursday of next week, where we're going to talk about the quality focus essay and the 3 institutional improvement plans that have emerged as a result of the ICER process. And that's on the next slide. And this is the final slide. So I think I mentioned in the October update the general 3-pronged approach to these institutional improvement plans. And we've got a lot of positive feedback from the campus, and we're committed to moving forward on these. And appropriately so, one of those is the planning and budget, the integrated planning and budget process, beginning with the development of the APs that are missing that Dr. Tejada spoke about in her resolution, or in the Academic Senate's resolution. But there's more to it than that, of course. And so we're going to put forward that as an institutional improvement plan that's going to require institutional multi-constituent attention in the next few years. The second, evaluation of institutional practices for effectiveness. So sort of the other end, the output of our practices. Are they working? Are they serving students? Are they leading to the most effective accomplishment of mission as they can? And this is another institution-wide project that will involve everyone. And then finally, and this is related, actually all 3 of them are related, participatory governance structures. So improving, refining our practices in terms of participatory governance, again, institution-wide, involving all constituent groups. So those will be probably in outline form in the coming days, and then we'll be discussing them at the forum in greater detail on Thursday. Finally, the quality focus essay, which is a project that aligns with the ICER. It's not tied to accreditation the same way as the ICER responses are, but we're required to describe some institutional improvement projects. I'll save improvement for the other group. Some quality projects that we can embark on over the next few years that contribute to student success. And we've identified the 2 as the Guided Pathways Project and the Student Equity Project. One focused on really integrating and improving our ongoing Guided Pathways implementation work, and the other working in collaboration with the DEI committee and our new Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Patricia, on institutionalizing dialogue, identifying, assessing structural barriers to student equity across campus, and then empowering both our constituent groups and the DEI committee itself to make recommendations to the campus on how to move forward. And at least that's the goal of this aspect of the quality focus essay. Thank you very much for your time and your attention and your support. That concludes my report.
Dr. McGowan, any questions? Thank you, and thank you to Dr. Warner also for giving up your weekend in advance.
Thank you.
Anyways, next.
Public Affairs and Communications Update, Holly.
Hello, good evening, everyone, and thank you. I have a brief update for you, just a few slides today. So the most exciting thing I think that happened this week was we welcomed the Acting Chancellor, Daisy Gonzalez, and 13 of her best friends, members of the Board of Governors, as well as her senior staff, the President of the State Academic Senate, the President of the State Student Senate, and others, to join us for a student-centered listening tour. You can go to the next slide. So they were here to listen to students. That's what they really wanted to do. I kept trying to tell them that people wanted to meet with them, and Dr. Gonzalez said, nope, we are here to listen to students. So here you can see she is doing a selfie of herself with a group of students and her team who made a wonderful sign. We started the day with a meeting with leadership, and then we took a tour of campus. We visited the BWP program, machine technology and welding, We went on to the Basic Needs Center. We stopped to see respiratory care, doing a sim project. We went to the Performing Arts Center, and then for lunch, where we had about 25 students participate in a town hall lunch. And we also had David Soto Gonzalez, our student trustee, point in the direction of the campus student housing project and give a quick update on that project. Next slide, please. You can see here that Bob V, always my favorite photographer on campus, took advantage of the chancellor, and this is Pam Haynes, visiting the Performing Arts Center and the upcoming Charlie Brown Christmas show, and it was perfect because you have the two doctors are in. Next, please. The other things that we're working on in public affairs is spring registration is coming up. And so that really is where a lot of our focus is. Priority registration opens on the 15th. The class schedule is available as of tomorrow, although it's really already there. So we're sending out emails, social media, et cetera, to make sure that students are ready and have the information they need. Next. Also, a lot of our efforts right now are around the vaccine requirement, working on updating the website, making sure that the content is current, creating FAQs for a variety of students, and working collaboratively across campus to accomplish this. Also working with financial aid to support and make sure that students are aware that we have emergency financial assistance available to them to consider to make sure that they stay at Napa Valley College and that is not a barrier, and also paying off some of the debt that they may have to Napa Valley College, which could be a barrier. And next, or is that it? I can't remember. It's been a long day. I think that might be it.
That looks like
okay,
it.
well, a couple other just quick things to update you on. In addition, we continue the frontline student communications. We send out the Friday Extra as well as single subject emails and students and social media to students. And we will be providing an update probably at the next board meeting about how we're using some of the state dollars that are specifically targeted for retention and enrollment outreach to support current students as well as those who may have dropped out as a result of the pandemic. And we are collaborating across campus to do a phone bank, to support our student ambassador program, and to do a number of other activities to try to make it as easy as possible for those students to stay. We're also working with Dr. Warnell and Dr. McGowan on the ICER that they have been working on to design the ICER and have something that can be presented and shared broadly. The 2021 annual report, a number of marketing campaigns and collateral development in support of different programs, as well as providing public relations support. And on that note, I would be remiss if I did not remind you that All Together Now is in the Performing Arts Center this weekend, and you can also watch it online if you prefer. Tickets are pay what you can. And we're still planning for a spring launch for the website. And that is my update for this evening. Thank you.
It's quick, ferocious, but wonderful. I like it. Thank you, Holly. And it was a very nicely put together team that helped us host the chancellor. So thank you, and all the folks who helped on that. We're going to move to update on spring classes and vaccination requirement for students, and just a little update, and that is a little update on staff on that as well. Sarah is taking the lead on that.
Thank you. Good evening, Board of Trustees. I'll wait till this gets pulled up here. So last month, you passed a resolution to implement a vaccine requirement for students taking in-person classes and accessing in-person services at NVC starting this fall, and all employees. I'm going to provide a brief update on the work we have done since then to have this in place in time for registration, which starts in 5 days. If you could move to the next slide, please. Chara was going to be able to give the update on employees, but she's actually passed along notes because our meeting day today is on a Wednesday instead of Thursday. She was not able to stay long enough to get to her section here. So on this slide, you're going to see graphics that show you the distribution of courses in our spring schedule. In addition to surveying our students about their vaccination status and their thoughts about a response to a potential requirement. We shared those survey results with you last month. At that same time, we also asked students about their course taking preferences. And the schedule that is now live for spring is very responsive to what students told us they need and want. We have increased in-person options across all areas of our offerings so that just under 50% of our section offerings will be available in person to students. And of those, about 2/3 of them are fully in person, 1/3 of them are in a hybrid form. Students also expressed through the fall survey, and this is substantiated through actual enrollment trends over the last few years, a strong preference for asynchronous online classes. So these make up the majority of our distance education offerings. We move to the next slide, please. This slide provides a snapshot of the steps that we are taking to full implementation of the vaccine requirement for students registering for in-person classes. We selected a vendor, Cleared4, that's used by many other California community colleges and colleges across the country, and have set up 3 categories of users with Cleared4: students in in-person classes, students accessing services, and employees. An implementation team led by Senior Dean Bob Vandervelde and dozens of members of the campus community, from IT to admissions and records, health center, all across student affairs, human resources, and more, have been able to get NVC's Cleared4 system up and running in record time. Some of those individuals have also joined the meeting tonight, so they can answer any specific questions you may have. The next pink dot there takes you to our communication strategy. You heard a little bit about that, but it's underway with information on the website, part of our registration process, and outreach efforts continuing to ramp up to ensure that all students understand what that this requirement is in place and what that will mean if they choose to register for an in-person class. When a student registers for a class that's, let's say, tagged as in-person, it will, I'm going to use Cleared4 terminology here, activate that student. In other words, it will trigger a sequence of events starting with an email and a text message with instructions to the student to submit their vaccination documentation. And via this same process, students may request an exemption. That exemption will then be routed appropriately on our campus, depending on what the exemption request is. Students who have not submitted their documentation will receive ongoing reminders, including highly individualized follow-up to ensure that they're able to remain on the roster. That's our primary goal, is to make sure that every student who wants to enroll in an in-person class is able to be cleared prior to the start of spring semester. And when I use the word cleared, I'm referring to cleared either because documentation of vaccination status has been submitted or the student has an approved exemption. However, those hopefully very few students who fall into the category of failing to submit their documentation or getting cleared will be dropped prior to the first day of their class. And after that point, only students who are cleared will be able to be added to the class roster. This is to ensure that once a class starts, any student who is in that in-person class is in fact cleared. Students who receive an approved exemption will be subject to weekly testing and will have to submit their negative test results. In requesting the exemption, this testing expectation will be explicitly communicated to students, along with clear consequences that they will be dropped from in-person classes for failure to adhere to the testing requirement. Students who are enrolling only in online classes will not be required to submit documentation through this process. However, they will be required to do so in order to access in-person services, and I'll speak to this more in just a sec. So go to the next slide, please. This lovely and very small print flowchart that you see here on the left visually demonstrates, and then you can dig in if you'd like, but it's just meant to show you that we have an internal routing process for spring registration. And there are many individuals involved and systems set up that live behind each of those boxes that you see there as one moves through the flowchart. On the right-hand side, we've summarized the pieces that we're continuing to finalize as related to in-person services. And I'm sharing some of this on behalf of Vice President DeHaro as well. So we will be offering in-person services Monday through Thursday from 10 to 2 at a minimum across all student affairs areas. And many of these services will take place through appointments, as they always have. Those appointments will also remain accessible to students in a remote format. Yet we know that students seek to access services on a drop-in basis, not always through an appointment. And we also know that we are visited by individuals who are not yet our students, but we hope that they will become our students, and therefore we will treat them as such. We will be prepared to assist them so that they get the help that they need through a variety of options, including being able to request clearance through the Cleared For system on the spot. We'll move to the next slide. And this is, and we can go one more. I'm just going to summarize here what I have been handed off from Chara. The first speaks to negotiation. So the district is currently in discussions with both of our bargaining groups to negotiate the impact of the vaccine requirement. And you heard Christy speak to this a little bit earlier. Additionally, HR is working on communications about the process in detail, updating job announcements to reflect that this is a requirement for positions at the college. The website will be updated to provide frequently asked questions and responses, and the process for employees to submit their vaccination documentation, that will be up and running by Friday of next week. Employees, as you saw, are going to be using the same system as students, the Cleared For system, to input their proof of vaccinations. And all employees will be provided with the exemption forms to request accommodations to the vaccination requirement. That is what I have for that, and I'll go ahead and end there.
Thank you, Sarah. Questions from the board, or and I want to thank you before and team. A lot of work, as you can see, board went into this. A lot of questions. There are still some questions that we'll bump into as we move forward, but it's certainly a well thought out process, and I have confidence that we've done the best job possible in preparing it for you. Hearing no questions. Okay, great. Thank you, Sarah and team. We have no cabinet updates that I have been told about, so I think we will move.
Dr. Kraft?
Yes?
We have Jessica Erickson here, who is prepared to make a few comments on behalf of Oscar DeHaro.
Jessica Erickson, you are so welcome. And thank you. I'm sorry, I see my note now, and that's the end of year report and some other things. So Senior Dean Jessica Erickson, Admissions and Records, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kraft, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. And I'm here on behalf of Oscar DeHaro to share 3 important updates that he wanted to make sure the board and all of our campus community was aware of. So first and foremost is an incredible opportunity that the college had. They were invited to do a presentation on the Kaiser Permanente and NVC partnership that was actually presented at the HAKU annual conference, the 35th annual conference this year. And the purpose of this unique partnership is to develop a pre-health pipeline to grow the number of underrepresented physicians in the community by providing students with a medical scholars pathway with enhanced learning opportunities, emphasizing community involvement, mentorship, research, and self-efficacy. Recent literature shows that community colleges have untapped potential in increasing diversity at medical schools. As our nation becomes more diverse, family medicine educators must learn how to support efforts to diversify our physician workforce. Community colleges are faced with different challenges. Community college students, are faced with different challenges compared to those that attend a 4-year university. Specifically, they lack opportunities to participate in research or clinical projects. Family medicine residency programs are well positioned to offer community college students opportunities to serve their communities and obtain the necessary clinical opportunities to be well-rounded medical school applicants. The Kaiser Permanente Medical School Scholars Pathway does this through a 3-year program in partnership with Napa Valley Community College. The presenters that were invited to present about this program were Renee Rubio from Mesa STEM. He's a program services specialist. And Patricia Posada, the Mesa STEM program services counselor and instructor, as well as led by Oscar DeHaro himself. So this is something he's been very, very committed to. And the presentation was about a 45-minute presentation, which highlighted the 6 years of partnership and has progressed throughout and made progress throughout the years. And the presentation is actually going to be made available for you in board docs so that you're able to see that. And currently they are working on developing the Napa Valley College as a regional hub of healthcare opportunity so that it allows for students to continue their pathway. And this would be a partnership where we would be, the Napa Valley College is positioning for this opportunity as the Northern California hub. There are 2 other updates that I wanted to share, and that is the Student Affairs Annual Report, which I do see was attached and is in your board docs. So that is really a comprehensive self-assessment of the Student Affairs Unit. Oscar, of course, wants to send his kudos to all of us on the Student Affairs Council, because a lot of time and energy went into that work and into providing this document for all of you. We really spent a lot of time really providing a self-assessment of our work and then summarizing it with presenting you with our strengths, our challenges, our innovations, and also some data that helps to paint a picture of how we are looking at our services and making improvements to those services. The third and final update that Oscar wants to share with everyone is about our 16th annual high school breakfast, continuing our mission to serve, which was on November 4th. Many of you likely attended, but we did want to share that it was a true success. The Office of Student Affairs received over 70 RSVPs from high school community agency representatives of 4 neighboring counties, and attached is the link to the program. So that will also be provided as follow-up. And I couldn't represent Oscar without saying his favorite tagline and motto: students are our business, our only business. Thank you very much.
I love that. Thank you, Jessica.
Napa Valley College is located on the sacred, ancestral, and unceded land of the Patwin, Onasastis, I hope I'm saying that right, Miwok and Pomo peoples, past and present. And whereas the Napa Valley Community College District seeks to honor the indigenous peoples who have inhabited this region for generations and endeavors to be a good steward of the land and waterways for future generations. And whereas the Napa Valley College Community District is currently exploring a land acknowledgement statement and developing a series of educational programs to contextualize the need for a land acknowledgement and to educate the campus community about the culture, history, and philosophy of Indigenous peoples. And whereas the Napa Valley College Community College District commits to strengthen outreach to and collaboration with representatives from the Patwin, Onassatis, Miwok, and Pomo peoples with the goal of better serving members of these tribal communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the board of Napa Valley College Community College District, adopt resolution number 2123 to encourage the recognition and celebration of Native American Heritage Month at the district's college and in the community, encourages all students, staff, faculty, and members of the public to honor the sacrifices and contributions that have been made to our community and to the value, the roles, and transformative contributions of Native Americans to the local and national economies, culture, and identity of our society. Do I have any public comment on this item?
Move approval, Baldini.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second, DeLuna.
Thank you. So we have a first from Baldini, second from DeLuna. Having no public comment, do we have any further discussion? Hearing none. Trustee Dodd, what is your vote?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Epstein?
Aye.
Trustee Baldini?
Aye.
Trustee DeLuna?
Aye.
Trustee Rios?
Aye.
Student Trustee Soto Gonzalez?
Aye.
And I also will vote aye, affirmative. So we have a unanimous passing of this resolution. Thank you very much, Dr. Winsamy, for preparing this for us.
I
So,
would like to comment quickly.
Yes.
We've worked on this and I'm very proud of the work we're doing in diversity. The board might like to know, and there are many people who work on campus and who are employed by us who are of mixed race and who share Indigenous Indian background, including myself. So this is very important for me. My grandfather was a member of the Cherokee Nation, and I carry that proudly as well. So it's good to see this this acknowledgement, and I commend the board for moving forward on this.
You're muted.
thank you. I was wondering if there's anyone present who might be able to tell me if I was saying the name of that tribe correctly.
Dr. Tejada?
Is it Onastis?
If you could put it back on the screen, it's Anastasis. I think.
Onastas. What was it?
Onosatis.
Onosatis.
I was going to say Patricia's out there somewhere.
Onosatis. That wasn't one I'd heard before. I've heard the Miwok, and isn't there another one that's like a subsidiary of the Miwok?
Yeah, there's Mustitato Mayakma.
Mayakma? And I thought there was one like, it sounded like a Mishwa.
Mishwael.
Yeah, thank you. All right, thank you. So what do we have next? ICER. 9.5.
That's going to be me.
Yay.
Hi, Dr. Moreno.
Good evening, board. Catherine, could I get you to launch the PowerPoint, please? Thank you very much. All right, so good evening, board. Tonight marks an important step in the development of our Institutional Self-Evaluation Report, or ICER, as it's the first opportunity for you to review the draft of portions of the report beyond the responses to Standard 4C. The complete ICER will be coming to you for action at the meeting in December. Next slide, please. Oops. Sorry. All right. So before we get to any questions or comments that you have regarding the draft that's been posted for review by the campus community, I'm going to provide an overview of where we've been, where we are, and what comes next. Our comprehensive review will be structured around the new formative summative process. So please bear with me as I go through the details of that process. My goal is to inform the campus community about the process before we are actually in it next year. So NVC officially launched the ICER development process back in May 2020 when Dr. Stephanie Droker, president of the ACCJC, offered 2 remote training sessions for us. The first training was on the ICER. That was followed by a training specifically for the Board of Trustees. In September 2020, Dr. Jim McGowan was appointed to serve as the faculty co-chair for accreditation. We formed 14 writing teams to collect evidence and draft responses to the accreditation standards. Between November and March, we provided 4 trainings for writing team members. 3 of those sessions were developed by Jim and me. Those were followed by an advanced ICER training offered by Dr. Catherine Webb, who is one of the VPs of the ACCJC, and most importantly for us, she's the one that is assigned as a resource for NVC. In spring 2021, the writing teams conducted their work, collecting evidence, drafting responses to their assigned standards. Since that time, Jim and I have refined the drafts and collected feedback from the accreditation review team that was formed this summer. That was followed by another round of revision based on their feedback, and then we collected input from the accreditation steering committee. And as Jim mentioned, the review by the campus community is still underway as we approach the December 15th due date. In all, at least 63 people have contributed directly to the ICER by serving as writing team members or on one of the reviewing bodies. And additional staff members have also collected evidence to support the report. Next slide, please. So this slide lists the portions of the ICER that have been posted or that are anticipated to be posted for review by the campus community and the dates of the forums for each one. Jim and I are in the process of finalizing the ICER, which involves a final review and posting all of the associated evidence and completing the informational sections of the report, which provide context for the narrative around the standards. So those information sections include data in various forms, a description of our ICER development process, a brief history of NVC, compliance with ACCJC policies and eligibility requirements, and things of that nature. As Jim mentioned, we sent the first portion of the ICER to the graphics designer, who will be putting some finishing touches on it to create the prototype for the remainder of the report. And again, the ICER is due to the ACCJC on December 15th. Next slide. Okay, so I borrowed this graphic from the ACCJC, and the citation is listed at the bottom of the slide. This graphic outlines the steps of the comprehensive accreditation review process following the submission of our ICER. While we've been involved in the ICER development process for the last year plus, the completion of the ICER is just one step in the process, which comes before all of the steps that are listed in this graphic. I want to note that for the most part, this graphic represents the work that the peer review team will be doing next year, followed by review by the commission. So while NVC will continue to implement improvements associated with the accreditation standards, we aren't directly involved in most steps in this graphic. So as indicated by the ACCJC in the title there, this is a visual representation of the formative summative process. And the formative summative review process is one of the refinements to comprehensive review that's been introduced by the ACCJC in recent years. It's currently being piloted by a subset of member institutions that are undergoing review this year, and NVC will go through a similar process. I want to say that I think this is a great opportunity for NVC, and I was very happy to learn that our review would be structured this way. So I'm going to read through these colorful steps briefly, and then I'll provide a more detailed timeline associated with these steps, as well as some things that the NVC will be doing parallel to the team's review, and that'll be on the next slide. And so at that time, I'll elaborate on some of the steps that are here as I go through the timeline. So the graphic outlines the sequential steps that will occur between the time when we submit our ICER to the ACCJC and the commission takes action on NVC's report and site visit in January of 2023. So the steps include, I'm just going to read through these. So the team ICER review, core inquiries, focus site visit, draft team report, errors of fact, completed team report, and commission action. Next slide, please. I'm going to spend a little extra time on this slide, as I know there's been considerable turnover among the board and the campus community since our last comprehensive review. And also for those who are familiar with the accreditation process, there's some new elements that will be part of NVC's review. So in early January, there will be a pre-visit meeting that involves the president of NVC, so in our case, the anticipated interim president, our team chair and vice chair, and hopefully the accreditation co-chairs, especially in light of the transitions that are anticipated between now and January. The pre-meeting visit will occur in early January, and the purpose of that is to develop a collegial relationship between the chair and vice chair and the CEO, build upon the common goal of assisting the college within the context of the comprehensive review. It also provides an opportunity to notify the team of any changes since the ICER was completed. such as a change in CEO. During that meeting, the dates and times of two campus events, which I will be describing shortly, might also be established, and logistics such as hotel accommodations might also be discussed during that meeting. So I'd summarize the pre-visit meeting as an opportunity to check in and get to know each other before the peer review team begins its work. So I'm going to jump briefly ahead to February 24th, and then I'm going to kind of work my way backwards for a second. So, and describe some of the intervening steps. But on February 24th, the external peer review team assigned to NVC will convene for the first time amongst themselves. Sometime following our December 15th submission, the ACCJC will distribute our ICER and all of the supporting documents to the members of our peer review team. Team members will be tasked with reading our ICER, culling through the associated evidence, and analyzing our practices as described in the ICER. That work is conducted by individual team members, and each team member reads our whole report. So sometime before the team meeting, NVC will arrange for 2 events involving the external peer review team and NVC. I think that the ACCJC tends to schedule the 2 events for the day prior to the team ICER review. I've listed February 23rd as the likely date for those events, and we'll keep everyone posted. So there'll be 2 virtual meetings with the team around that time. The first is a meet and greet when the team will have a chance to introduce themselves and meet those involved in the development of the ICER. The second event is an open forum with the team. Jim and I met with Dr. Webb recently to deepen our understanding of the formative summative review process, and she indicated that executive leadership does not typically attend the open forum to provide an opportunity for other members of the campus community to meet the team. So the 2 events are really intended to help humanize NVC by providing an opportunity for NVC and the team to get to know each other, to help put some human faces on the ICER. And I'd say that works both ways, and then we get to know our peer reviewers a little bit and the human side of them. So Dr. Webb has offered to provide an additional training session for us to encourage us to maintain our momentum and begin implementing improvements to address the needs we identify in our ICER. And we anticipate that training sometime in early February. So that's included here. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to February 24th. So on that day, the team will convene to have detailed conversations about our report. There are 2 main outcomes of those discussions. So first, they identify the standards that the team has verified are being met. So based on those findings, the team will begin drafting those sections of their report. The team will also identify any areas that require further clarification and questions to help verify and validate our status vis-a-vis those standards. So these are what are called the core inquiries in that step of the process. So the core inquiries outline what the team will want to pursue during their site visit. They will likely be structured around, so the core inquiries will likely be structured around a general topic, and they will identify the associated standards along with potential things for the team to explore. The core inquiries can include areas for improvement as well as exceptional practices that might be highlighted as areas of commendation in the team's report. The core inquiries from the team will be communicated to NVC, and that is expected in mid-March. NVC will then use the core inquiries to focus momentum on activities intended to position us well for the site visit by continuing work associated with the areas for improvement. That work will occur between March and October, and there will not be any contact between the team and NVC during that time. The week of October 10th has been identified for our focus site visit. The visit focuses on the core inquiries identified by the team and that we will have been working on since March at least. The ACCJC is currently developing a template for institutions to report out and document the work that is completed prior to the site visit. The template will include a word limit, again, underscoring the focused nature of the exercise. It is likely that only a subset of our peer review team members will be involved in the site visit. We will find out whether those will be in person or remote as 2022 develops. During the site visit, the team will interview individuals to learn more about our practices. They might examine additional evidence not included in the report, and they might request additional evidence documenting the work that's been done between the ICER submission in December 2021 and October 2022. They will also continue their work as a team to continue drafting the team report. At the end of the visit, the team chair will provide a final exit report. And for those of you who haven't experienced this in the past, there are some maybe peculiar features of it, so I want to prepare you for that. So the team chair will provide a final exit report as an oral presentation. That report will identify the major team findings. It will not include any specific recommendations at that time. It is not to be filmed or recorded by the institution. And following the exit report, all team members will leave. They are instructed not to respond to any questions or engage in any conversations with individuals as they depart. And that's obviously if we're in person, it's a lot easier to help mitigate those conversations or prevent those by having a Zoom meeting. Okay, following the site visit, the team completes the draft of their report, and the president will receive the draft of their report, and NVC will be given the chance to review the draft and correct any errors of fact. So this part of the process is coordinated by the CEO and the ALO, so that's me. And an example of an error of fact from our last review was that in the first sentence of the team's report, they identified either the wrong start date or the wrong end date of their site visit. So it was error of fact, didn't really bear on anything else, but it was not correct. So the step focuses solely on errors of fact and not opinion. The team, after we identify any errors, then the team will complete their report, which will include the formative evaluation that will have been conducted back in February or March, as well as the summative evaluation incorporating the updated information regarding the core inquiries. The team submits the report to the ACCJC, which will take action on NVC, and I want to underscore this part. This is based on the summative evaluation conducted in October 2022. So the ACCJC will take action in January of 2023 based on the summative snapshot. The ACCJC will communicate the action taken that's anticipated by early February of that year. And so this is what lies ahead over the next 14 months or so. So we've been at this for about, in earnest for about 14, and then we have 14 more ahead of us before the action is taken. Final slide, please. Uh-oh. All right, so this item has been placed on the agenda to provide a preliminary opportunity for questions or comments regarding the draft of the ICER. The final draft will be coming to you next month as an action item. And for now, Jim and I are available to collect comments and answer any questions you might have.
Questions?
I don't have any questions. I just want to once again thank both of you. This is such a huge, enormous, overwhelming task, and I so appreciate you putting your heart and soul in it, and especially staying up late reporting out to us all your efforts. So thank you so much. It's a thankless job. I know we can't pay you enough. We can't thank you enough for everything you're doing. But Napa Valley College is a much better place for you being here. So thank you so much again for everything that you've done. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right then. So Hold on, I got lost. Okay. Oh my goodness. Board goals. Okay. Board goals. We've spent a couple of months trying to address an updated version of our goals, and so far I've not made any progress. However, I would like to make the suggestion, if the rest of the board is amenable, that since we didn't 100% achieve all of our goals and they're still very relevant, that we hold on to these 3 goals that we had previously stated from a couple of years ago. Because again, they're still relevant, but I would like to include a 4th goal that is specifically addressing our DEI efforts and what the board can do from a policy position to support those efforts. And if the board would be all right with it, I'm happy to draft something to bring back in December, or, if we want to if somebody wants to work with me on that. I found some amazing examples of similar work that's been done at other colleges, so I don't think it would take a lot of work to put something together. And I think that will, if we could do that and then continue in our efforts on the previous 3 goals, that we should have plenty to keep us busy.
Jennifer, I just wanted to let you guys know that Trustee Iverson and I did come up with proposed changes, but we both talked and we thought it wasn't appropriate right now to change them, just basically because we are in the process of getting a new president, and we would want our board goals to match what we're going to hopefully require of him or her. Yes. And also and I don't know, Kyle, if you want to talk about the election process, but we have that mapped out as well, but it doesn't change the process that we have too much. So do you want to?
By all means, take the floor, either of you.
Well, are we doing these under 9.6? Is that correct? Or?
Well, 9.6 is goals. So do you have something that you can share on the screen, or just read the updates, the current ones?
Yeah, they pretty much update the current ones, and I've included a lot of DEI language and more substantial changes to I can show them if you'd like, or I can send them out later. I don't know that we want to talk about it tonight, but I can send them out to you guys today so that we have them for the next meeting. Up to you.
How about you and I put our heads together sometime in the next month to review what the subcommittee or the ad hoc committee put together, and see if we want to, if the DEI stuff is already woven into the existing goals, or if we want to set it aside as a separate, and we could come back with something for the board to adopt next month.
Sure.
Is that amenable for everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and kind of after we were talking, it was Trustee Baldini was part of this too.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have enough on our plate right now, so I'd rather unpack this at a later date. But yeah, Inez has some great ideas on that, so I'm perfectly fine letting her.
And I'm not certain what sort of requirement we have. I think we do need to update, but probably before we have a new president. But that's not to say that I think in general most just looking at our previous goals, they're fairly high level. They don't get down into the weeds, and so they would still be applicable regardless of who's at the helm. But I think it's actually would be good for us to amongst ourselves codify it because it'll be helpful as we are interviewing and looking to for our new CEO. And I think have a clear vision of what we're trying to do as a board.
Yeah. And I think it's also appropriate that we look at the mission and the vision statement, because that has not been updated in over 10 years.
That I absolutely agree. And that I think we will, that'll be a whole campus community effort. Mm-hmm. And so I think that is something that we will put off until likely next summer to get that going with our new president firmly in place. So, but I think we can do a little bit of work in the meantime to get us all ready to go. All right. Then, all right. What do you have for officer selection? Let's bring that up.
Let's see that.
We kind of went back and forth on this. Trustee Baldini had a pretty extensive idea.
All right. Yeah, we'll just.
I can't.
My take on this is just, it's diplomatic. I mean, it's democratic. Sorry. Yes, it's uncomfortable at times, but it works. After talking to Inez and Michael, I'm kind of like, if you guys want to change it as a whole, then let's change it. I honestly think, again, we have other things we need to focus on, but I'm happy to continue being a part of that one.
Well, did you have
figure it out right now?
Do you have any recommendations right now, or are we talking about no?
Give the one, Kyle. I think Inez, I never, you could either or. It was just declare before we vote the meeting before. So there's some.
And I mean, to be honest, I don't know that we need to make any change to the current policy as it stands in order to do that, because that could just be a process issue. I'm not certain if we have anybody who might be able to answer that question.
Wait, what was the question about the process?
If we were to, I guess the question is, if we were to institute that practice, where we said, okay, from now on, or at least for right now, we're going to include a step wherein the month prior to the election or selection process, that anyone who is interested or not interested can declare as much in the previous month, which would be right now. So I guess my question is if we are planning to institute that practice, do we need to formally adopt that and make a change to our policy, or is that consistent with our current policy so that we could go ahead and do it tonight?
Do you want to let me share my screen and I'll put up our current process, and then we have?
Catherine, do we have the ability to do that? I don't know if we have the ability to do that. But she probably has access to the current policy.
Yes, go ahead if you want. Are you just showing the current policy? The current policy basically outlines the duties of the officers, but does not outline how they're selected. So if you made a change to this
what is the process part though that we use, like that Dr. Kraft reads every year, and we go through is that just an AP?
Yes.
That's
okay.
It's not even the AP. That's just a process that was developed about 10 years ago with the assistance of legal counsel, but it's not in any formal document.
So we could throw that out the window anytime we want. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Yeah. And you have agendized tonight enough, probably where you could, because of this truncated, timeline, indicate you could throw your hat in the ring tonight just to discuss. I don't think that you would be violating anything because you've agendized this approved process. So you could probably do that if that's the desire of the board.
All right. Then rather than do it right now, since I'm sure everybody's going to want a nature break before we get to the end of the agenda anyway, why don't we plan to do that at the end of the meeting? Is that doable? If
So I'm a little confused. Did the committee come back with recommendations or just come back and say, let's figure it out now?
Well, we came back with ideas, but we can't share Nez's screen, so that's somewhat limiting.
You can share her screen if you want. I fixed it so you can share.
Oh, okay.
Nez, take it away.
Let me make sure I share the right things. Okay.
Always a good idea.
So, can you see okay?
Small, could you?
Yeah.
Make it a little bigger for the older people here, myself included.
Exactly why we wear glasses now.
So we took the Board of Supervisors process and we just changed it to fit the trustees.
Okay.
So
it's not a dramatic change, but it's good. Sorry, Inez, go.
No, go ahead.
That is your screen, you're going.
So it's not a huge change. It kind of is what we do now. It just has, it states what the rotation is. It's an annual basis. And it's intended that the vice chair would be the chair the following year, which is kind of what we've been doing, I think. And then, let's see, the vice chair, if they decide they don't want to take over as the chair, then they would advise, I can't remember how far in advance, but they would advise the board. And then if a newly elected trustee is scheduled to serve as chair during that trustee's first year in office, that trustee may instead elect to serve as vice chair during that year and then serve as chair the following year. So that kind of addressed what Trustee Baldini had brought up in his proposal, I think, about longevity on the board.
Rookie.
So this actually is looking fairly, I guess, substantive difference from the way we're doing things now, because it looks like you are proposing a rotation rather than election.
Well, it's
I'm happy to hear from the trustees that were uncomfortable with the prior process. I forget how this one came on the agenda.
Right.
I mean, this is a good stab at it.
So do we have any comments, questions from those who were not? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm confused with B. I mean, it definitely is a rotation. I'm unsure how somebody who was just elected can be the chair. Is it a rotation by district?
I think it's because if the chair didn't get reelected, or if the vice chair didn't get reelected, the new person that would have been the chair then would.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would not be in favor of that at all. I just think there's so much to this that to have somebody who was just elected become chair, I think that would not be good for anybody. So I think I would have a problem with that.
I would agree. I would tend to agree with Trustee Goff on that point.
If we were, now I don't know that we want to go to a rotational option. If that's what, if the majority of the board is in favor of changing to rotation, we could address the issue of having newly elected trustees serving as chair by saying, minimum X number of years on the board before you could do that. So we'd have to figure out the math of, what that does for people who are, in terms of your rotation. I think kind of like when you put books on hold at the library, if you want, you can change it, the date that you want your book. And so you kind of stay at the top of the list until you're ready, kind of thing.
And it's
So
not a rotation of all the trustees. It's a rotation, they're just talking as to chair and vice chair.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. So, okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Because we haven't officially ever said that the person who's vice chair would become chair. That's not actually part of our current process. It has been kind of
historically
occasionally done that way, but not officially.
And I think that's where we started to think about what the issue was with the current process.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're like, we'll just present this and then ask for clarification of what the issue was or why it came up in the first place, so that we know kind of what we're addressing. Because I mean, what are the issues that we're trying to address? Is it to just write down and make policy out of kind of just a process that has been followed?
Well, my main thing was I was trying to get it where we didn't vote for one person at a time, that we did it for where we had a slate. And the other thing that I was interested in was having the opportunity to just basically throw your hat in the ring ahead of time if you wanted to. Both of those things are compatible with this, I think. But I don't want to take up too much of this. Jeff, you had your hand up?
Well, yeah, I guess I was just getting to Trustee DeLuna's point. Like, well, I guess the identifying what is the issue, and I think maybe Trustee Rios mentioned that. So, what is the issue? It seemed that the issue is the awkwardness associated with kind of maybe being the first to nominate, and then after an immediate vote is taken, that is, there may be no subsequent considerations of, the person who also received nominations.
Mm-hmm.
So it seemed, I think, Jeremy, that the way you kind of, I think, it described is potentially the issue. And so I just don't know if adding this ball, which I don't see anything wrong with it. I'm just saying, if that is the issue, let's try to thoughtfully address that piece. Again, no issues, I think, with this subsection B, but I don't know that that's getting to what we're talking about here in terms of it being the issue.
Right. I guess if we do want to address that issue, the issue of the rotation, the chair, vice chair, is there interest here in formalizing that relationship of the vice chair becoming where the vice chair, unless they decide that they don't want to, or because there's a change in who is in that chair because of an election, do we want to formally say that the person who is vice chair will automatically become chair the following year? Or do we want to leave it as is, where it is done separately?
Do we want to have continuing chairs, or do we want that to move and everybody gets a turn? That's kind of like the supervisors is set up, like everyone is a chair at some point. If you don't want to do it, you step aside and next person in line does it, I guess.
I don't hear a whole lot of enthusiasm for rotation. And I can appreciate that partly because since there's 7 of us, if we're rotating, somebody's never going to get to be chair that they may want to. Well, let me see. So Michael has his hand up. Michael, you're muted.
Thanks very much. One of the options that was thrown in the trash can of whatever it's called was that you elect for the vice chair. You declare that, yes, I'm interested in the meeting prior to, and you elect the vice chair becomes the chair. So it was President or Dr. Kraft that mentioned it would be nice if the chair had some inner workings of what's going on by being vice chair as prep, and so you elect for the vice chair instead of the chair. Mm-hmm. And then the vice chair, unless they decline, becomes the the chair. So yes, it is kind of a rotation, but yes, you voted for them. But
I like how we've always done it though too.
yeah, it's like taking the pebble out of my hand. It is the first person that gets their hand up and the nomination, and you vote until somebody gets sufficient votes. So why not just have everybody that is interested in serving as chair be on the slate? So, which was one of the other.
Yeah. Beth?
I like the idea of voting for vice chair because I really think that just to step into the chair position without any exposure to it would be tough. In fact, I'm even thinking this year with everything that's going on, I myself think that we shouldn't change, that our chair and vice chair should remain the same, because with everything that's happening, to have somebody step into the chair position at this point and try and learn everything that you and Jeff have done, I just don't think it's a good idea. So there are times, I think, in our history and when we're working on things that sometimes it's best, if the chair is effective, to leave them there and get the job done. So, I would hate to mandate that you have to change every year, because sometimes I don't think that's in our best interest.
Well, couldn't we do that under the current system? I mean, if we think that we have the leadership that should continue, then you nominate them again and they get voted in, or they don't.
Right.
Well, what we do, and again, this doesn't have to, it sounds like we don't have, this isn't like forever and ever. It could just be for this year. We say, for this year at least, we will, if you are interested in being chair or want to propose that someone else be chair, that you make that known at the end of the meeting prior to the election, which would be this coming today, and that we make the change of having a slate option for voting rather than doing the one at a time based on nominations.
How does that eliminate the awkwardness that our current system?
It keeps it, well, kind of like what Michael said about the pebble in the hand, or for me, I've always described it as the Family Feud Jeopardy thing, where it's like whoever gets to the microphone first wins, so if we have multiple people who are interested, who have been nominated, then we would vote. You vote for your top person, and then if we don't have a clear winner, then the top two would then be voted again. It's not dissimilar that much from what we have now, except that it's doing it multiple names at a time rather than one at a time.
How would we not have a clear winner? I mean, we'd have.
Well, if we had, say, for instance, if we had three people that were nominated, and two of them get 3 votes and one person gets 1 vote, then you would have to go and do the another vote between just the two who had the most. Does that make sense?
Really isn't much different than what we do. I mean,
it's not. It's really not that different. Honestly, the only thing it really takes away is that stupid not who gets to go first thing. Michael, is your hand? Do you have another comment? You have to unmute yourself, sir.
No, it's just my lower hand. There we go.
Thank you. Okay?
I think if we're gonna do what you proposed, we shouldn't ask for nominations today. Maybe push that to December, and then the election would be January, or decision would be January. Because you're saying we would have to nominate or do it today.
Well, not nominate. The nominations would still be next month. The nomination and informal vote would still be next month. The only thing that we would be changing and doing this month is simply having the opportunity to say officially, I want to do it, or I think Jeff should do it or whatever, just to be, it's not a nomination. It's just a putting it out there, kind of like what Beth just did. But doing that as a, as part of, I guess, our board reports or whatever.
Well, if we're not gonna require it, I don't think it's something we're gonna ask people to do, because I don't know who may be thinking about it, but maybe they hadn't thought that they'd have to do this at this meeting, because it certainly wasn't on the agenda.
Right.
We didn't see any recommendations or anything.
But we already have nominees.
We do? Oh,
Proposed nominees.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Just
All right.
Only how I see it, sorry.
Oh, for heaven's sake. All right. Well, this was fun. I think at this point, we don't seem to have a whole lot of consensus on any particular direction. So I'm just going to say, we'll just leave it as it is. And we'll do this next month as we normally would have. And if whoever's chair next year wants to try it again, we'll see what happens. Fair? All right, let's move on.
Moving right along.
Okay, let's see. What do we have next?
Sorry, I need to get back onto. Okay, here we go. And you're not taking action. We're keeping the current process.
That is correct.
Okay, moving on. We're at consent calendar.
Consent calendar. Do we have any items that anyone needs to pull from consent for discussion?
Move approval. Baldini.
Second.
All right. Do we have any public comment?
I see none. Who was the second, please?
Rios.
Rios, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, no public comment.
Sorry, I gotta get down there. All right then. So we have a motion and a second. Trustee Dodd, what is your vote?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Baldini?
Aye.
Trustee DeLuna?
Aye.
Trustee Rios?
Aye.
Student Trustee Soto Gonzalez?
Aye.
Now, I also will vote in the affirmative. So we have passed the consent agenda, which takes us to 12.1, ratification of architectural firm selection for the wine education complex and acceptance of this proposal. So do we have, we have, who, Michael, is that you?
Baldini,
All
yes.
right. And
Second,
then
Dodd.
second from Dodd. Any public comment?
I have no public comment.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Trustee Dodd, your vote.
Aye.
Trustee Goff.
Aye.
Trustee Iverson.
Aye.
Trustee Baldini.
Aye.
Trustee DeLuna.
Aye.
Trustee Rios.
Aye.
Student Trustee Soto Gonzalez.
Aye.
And then I will also vote affirmative. So we have passed that unanimously. And next we have 13.1, curriculum changes for fall 2021. Is that right? For this year? For this current semester?
Let's open it and look at it. Typo. The date here.
It looks like it is. I just wanted to be sure. So
Yeah, no, I didn't catch that. Retroactive.
okay, retroactive. Yeah, okay. So, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second, Dodd.
So it was first from Rios and second from Dodd. Any public comment?
I see none.
Any discussion? None? All right then. Trustee Dodd, your vote.
Aye.
Trustee Goff.
Aye.
Trustee Iverson.
Aye.
Trustee Baldini.
Aye.
Trustee DeLuna.
Aye.
Trustee Rios.
Aye.
Student Trustee Soto Gonzalez.
Aye.
I will also vote affirmatively. So we have approved curriculum change revisions. So now we have the 2022 to 2023 academic calendar, which is in line with NVUSD. And do we know for sure that Veterans Day is closed this time? Pretty sure we're good. All right, so do we have a motion?
Baldini, move approval.
Second first from Baldini, second from Iverson. Any public comment?
I see none.
Any discussion? No. All right then. Trustee Dodd, your votes are
Aye.
Trustee Goff. Aye. Trustee Iverson.
Aye.
Trustee Baldini.
Aye.
Trustee DeLuna.
Aye.
Trustee Rios.
Aye.
Student Trustee Soto Gonzalez.
Aye.
And I will vote affirmatively as well. So we have approved our academic calendar. All right, nothing for student affairs. Moving on to board policies. This is a first reading. So assuming everyone has had opportunity to review, does anyone have any questions or comments on this? Hearing none, I think we can just move on. I assume we'll have that next month for second reading and adoption. Okay. So, wow, we buzzed through that stuff. Yay. All right. We are now at standing committee and other appointment reports. So DAS, District Auxiliary Services. Mr. Iverson, do we have a report?
We did meet. One of the exciting pieces, and Dr. Kraft, you can, I don't know. So the RFP for the food truck and the cafe was discussed. I'm not quite sure we're ready to roll out with that yet, though. Are we, Dr. Kraft?
We're really analyzing the on-campus, the demand on campus. So we're really looking to see, what we should expect for the spring. The food truck has a little more of a community approach, and I think that one is moving forward a little more robustly. So we'll have a report back in December.
What? Viticulture and winery, or did you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
Viticulture and winery, Trustee Baldini.
No meeting. Our next meeting is in December 8th, and some exciting news there. We'll let you know at the December meeting.
Ooh, okay. Dangling stuff in front of us. All right, so Legislative Affairs Committee, Trustee Goff.
No, we did not meet. No meeting.
All righty then. Audit and Finance Committee has not met. I believe, yeah, I would be there if I had. Real Property has not met. McPherson Distinguished Teaching Award is on hiatus till spring. Dr. Ed Schenk Award also on hiatus till spring. Napa Valley College Foundation Board of Directors, Mr. Iverson.
We did meet. We had a retreat recently, and that went really, really well. And Dr. Parker was there, Dr. Kraft, full board. It was really good. And right now is an amazing opportunity for the foundation with the Wine Spectator donation that we just approved tonight. That's huge. It's very exciting. And I think that the foundation really is stepping up, and it's something that I think should be in the forefront of conversations as we move forward, looking for our new president and stuff. So I want everybody to take it into account, and having Jessica report at these meetings has been great. So nothing to really add to that.
Thank you. Accreditation Steering Committee, and Nez, did you have anything to add that hasn't already been said in the other reports?
Nothing to add. We just have a lot of meetings coming up, and I don't know. Push me like, push us like. They're doing such a wonderful job. I'm not, yeah. They're amazing. So
yes. A great team. We're very blessed with this team. All right, then. So that was relatively painless. Future agenda items. Catherine, can you open up our log just so we have it? Tour facilities. Anything that anyone wants to add to our list? I think most of these things are either moving forward or are on temporary pause until we have our new president ensconced. So, but if there's anything anyone wants to add for a future agenda item that we want, otherwise I think we can move on. Thank you. All right, trustee and board chair reports. Trustee Dodd, do you have a report? Is Trustee Dodd still here?
Yes.
He's on mute.
I'm on mute. I'm tired. Attended the high school breakfast this week, earlier this week, and then also that was last week, I think. And then I'm sorry again. And then the chancellor's breakfast on Monday, which is a real nice event. And Holly did a real nice job organizing and made sure it went through seamlessly.
Thank you. Trustee Goff, anything to report?
No report. Thank you.
Trustee Iverson, do you have a report?
No report.
Trustee Baldini, you have a report?
Just quickly, I did attend the high school breakfast, if you will, and I apologize to all the presenters for photobombing the presentation through the Zoom link I was given. And I'd also like to thank all the veterans, whether they're students, faculty, or staff, or out there in the world that have served this country. Thank you very much. And that is my report.
Thank you. Trustee DeLuna, do you have a report?
No, just also happy Veterans Day, and thank you to all the veterans out there that have served our country and allowed us to have the liberties that we do. Also just celebrating Native American Heritage Month. And I did go to the ACCCT conference last month, and it was wonderful. I think more board members should have been there because it is a lot of what I already know about DEI. But it was very inspiring to see other boards and their presidents and administration there presenting about everything that they're doing for DEI. So hopefully I can do a presentation in the near future, next meeting, about that.
Yeah, definitely. We should. Well, we can discuss a good format for that. That would be great. Trustee Rios.
No report.
No report. Student trustee Cyril Gonzalez, do you have a report?
Only thing being about the chancellor coming over to the college on Monday. That was such a great event. I got to meet many great people. And yeah, I can't wait to see what else we can do. And yeah, and also happy Veterans Day, everyone, for tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. I don't really have a report. Lots of meetings, lots going on. I did get to attend the chancellor's visit as well, and was very gratifying to hear so many positive stories from our students, and to hear from them, you know, what their concerns are and how we can help them. But they kept asking for, what do you need? What do you need? And they just kept going on about how great we were. It's like, okay, well, that's good, but what can we do to help you? So did great information that was gleaned from that event, and lots to move forward with. So glad I was able to be there for that. All right. So then, unfortunately, we do need to go back into closed session. Unfortunately for us, the rest of you can go home. But I guess I do the rest of it when we come back. So we're going to go back into closed session now, and hopefully we won't take more than, I don't know, 20 minutes or half an hour or so. We'll see. But I am going to go ahead and leave here, and we'll see you all. Why don't we take like a 10-minute break?